Hello, today I want to show you this quick tutorial about how to make your own camera movements in Godot 4.1. First of all, we will see the few features that you will be able to implement, and then we will go through the code. Now, what will you be able to do? First of all, you will be able to drag your camera using your mouse, but also to zoom in and zoom out. We will see that we have a few parameters that you will be able to set directly in Godot editor. First of all, the mouse button that you will be using for dragging your view, but also your movement strength. You will be able to increase it in order to move faster, but also to set it to a negative value in order to reverse the controls. We'll be also able to set the boundaries of your view. By default they are all of 3000, but if I set it for example to the left to minus 1000, you can see that I can go way farther. And then if I reset it to minus 3000 and that I try to move, I'm automatically teleported to my boundaries. There is a limit for each side, but you can also set your zoom strength. If I augment it, you can see that I'm zooming way faster. But you can also reverse it and reverse the mouse wheel movement necessary in order to zoom in and zoom out. Then you can have max and minimum zoom. For example, there I'm at my minimum, but if I put it to 0.001, I can zoom out way farther, and if I reset it and try to zoom, it teleports me at my current minimum. Then finally, last features and a bit more of experimental one is the zoom toward the cursor. Initially it's set to 0, so if don't do anything, but if I set it to 2, which is I think the best value, you can see that if I point somewhere, my view is I'm zooming toward that point. If I set it to a value like 10, it will be way too brutal in order to really be usable, I think. So what do you need to do that? First of all, you need to have a camera 2D that you can instance in a scene with this button, and then you need to link to it a script. For myself, I'm using C#. You can see it, the Godot editor, but I rather prefer to show you it in Visual Studio Code. So first of all, you have the things set by themselves when you are creating a script in Godot, using Godot, using system, the extent of camera 2D, and then we have all the values that I just showed you in the editor. First of all, you can see that in order to have a value in the editor, you need to have the export tag, and you can set a few limits, constraints on it. For example, you can see that you only want an enum. For example, for my mouse button, we can also only have left, right, middle, X button 1 and X button 2, and the default value is set to left. But you can also have that for numerical value like floats with a range at minimum -2 and maximum 2 with a step of 0.1. You can pause in order to see all the default value that I used for my editor. I have one more variable, which is the movement holding, which is about a boolean allowing me to know if I'm currently dragging the camera, because I don't found an option for a dragging event, so I'm just using the click in and click out event and setting a boolean with it. So I prefer to use the unhandled input rather than linking real event to the current script, because I find it way easier. So first of all, you will need to check if the current camera is your camera. You don't want to move your camera if it's another that you see at the screen. Next, you want to detect mouse click in order to set the boolean are you currently dragging or not. Set to true when you click and false when you and click, but you can see that I'm using mouse button, button index to string and comparing it to my old button that are here, but it's I don't think that it's the best way to do it, but in each Godot version this kind of variables and attributes are changing, so I never know which one is the attribute that I need to use. So next you need to get your mouse movement event. If you're currently holding, thanks to the boolean that you have set, you can get the mouse event and set a distance, the distance that you will travel on your screen regarding your movement strength that you set in the editor, your current zoom. I mean, if you are currently in a if you are currently in a large view, you will want to move a lot, but if you are in a restrained area, you just want to move a bit. And finally, you will multiply it by your mouse movement. If your mouse is only moving a bit, you want to just move a bit, because if you're moving all across the screen, you want to move a lot on the view. So you will need to keep your current position in a position temp in order to do a bit of treatment to it. First of all, you will check in which direction your mouse is moving, and set a movement and move your position, your temporary position regarding to the distance that you have calculated and your relative position. Next, you will check if your camera is not out of bounds. I mean, if you are if you are forward at your boundaries, you don't want to make your treatment, but you want to go until your boundaries. And finally, you will calculate your position. You will set your position at your position temp. Next, for the second features, which is the zoom in and zoom out using the mouse wheel, you will want to get the input to get your zoom strength. So I have a real zoom strength, which is the zoom strength set in the editor +1, because I want in the editor to be able to set it between 0 and -1 and 1, because I find it like a more intuitive values rather than going between 0 and 2, because that's are the values that are used because I'm using multiplication and divisions. So next, you will need to zoom in if it's wheel up, or zoom down, or zoom out if it's wheel down, and or revert it with your value in the editor with your zoom strength. And next, you check if you are not farther than the boundaries with it. And finally, you can if you want to go toward your current zoom point, you just need to do that. I forgot to say that I'm just checking zoom point X, because the zoom point Y is equal to it, so just by checking one I can check the two. And so you get your mouse position, and if your zoom toward the camera strength is at 0, it won't do anything, but it's at a greater value, it will move toward your point. So that's all for the 2D version of this camera, but I have an ongoing project which is the 3D version of it. If you can stop the tutorial here, but I want to show a bit of this demo. So I have this 3D view. I will restart. No, it's not the good one. Yes, it did it. So you can see that I have this 3D view. I can move with my camera to the left, forward, backward, to the left, to the right. I can also zoom out and zoom in, a bit too much. But I currently don't have the rotation with the mouse with the mouse wheel click, because it will need to redo all of my calculation, because I just based the script on the last one, just by doing a bit of personalization. I have also another thing, which is I can change camera by pressing the spacebar, and now I'm currently controlling another camera, and if I repress space, I'm on the first one. So how to do that in a few time. First of all, for changing camera, I use a camera manager. So I just created a node which gets all of my cameras in the project like that. So you will need to put your cameras in the group camera. For doing that, you take your camera, you go to node, and you go to groups, and you can add a group. So you get all your cameras, you add it to your list, and next you have a function next camera, which take the next camera and make it the current camera, and you can just use the unhandled input of the space bar or what you want in order to call the function. So for the camera 3D itself, it's all an ongoing project, so it's not really good. You can see that it's really similar to the scripts that I used. I took a bit of variables that they are code that isn't used because I just took what I had. So you can see that it's a bit of the same thing. The current camera wasn't really used in the 3D project because I only have the one camera. Next, you take your input function event. It's rather the same thing, just you have vector trees instead of vector 2. And for the zoom in and zoom out, I'm just using the y-axis rather than using a real zoom. And you can see that I set it to 10, but you can just take the variables the zoom strength, I think, in order to change it. That's all for today's tutorial. Thank you for your listening, and goodbye.